A founding member of the Canadian Aviation Historical Society, Bill Wheeler served as editor of the CAHS Journal for 45 years with tireless effort and dedication to the Society. His work resulted in the publication of a respected magazine that carried articles, photographs, and art in a comprehensive portrayal of many diverse aspects of Canadian aviation history. By the time he was 12 years old, Bill Wheeler had become fascinated by airplanes and aviation. And by the time he graduated from Port Arthur Collegiate in 1953, Bill had developed a serious interest in art, pursuing his passion by enrolling at the Ontario College of Art in 1954, earning his diploma, ready to start a career. In 1955, Bill illustrated his first book, The Map Maker by Carey Wood, the story of explorer David Thompson in a Canadian history series published by Macmillan of Canada. And in 1958, Bill illustrated his first book about aviation, Knights of the Air by John Norman Harris, another book in Macmillan's series of great stories of Canada. And Bill was now on a path he would follow for 50 years in publishing stories about Canadian aviation. Aviation history had become a serious pursuit for Bill, and he found his interest was shared by fellow enthusiasts. By the 1960s, Bill was a family man, and his talents as an artist and a teacher were developing as his career progressed. Completing a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Toronto, and taking a position as art teacher for the Scarborough Board of Education. And in 1962, he became a founding member of the Canadian Aviation Historical Society, doing his best to attract new members. Within a year, the Society was publishing the CAHS Journal, and Bill Wheeler was serving as editor, providing his own artwork to illustrate some covers of the magazine and the stories it carried. The journal recorded stories of Canadian aviation history for a growing readership that would eventually see the Society establish a dozen chapters across Canada. Under Bill's direction, the journal would become a respected quarterly magazine that carried articles, first-person accounts, art, and photographs providing a published record of aviation in Canada. And in 1966, Bill still found time to illustrate another book about Aviation Hall of Fame member Wap May. Into the 1970s, the journal continued to improve in appearance and layout, with great stories about those who made aviation history. And Bill was able to recruit outstanding artists to illustrate magazine covers. Artists like Jim Bruce, Peter Mossman, Tom Bjarnason, and Hall of Fame member Robert Bradford. Aviators like Hall of Fame member Louis Lee contributed articles, and in 1978, the Canadian Aviation Historical Society marked 15 years of publishing, while the magazine's editor continued teaching as head of the art department at his high school. By the 1980s, color was starting to appear in the journal, seen in these covers by Tom Bjarnason and Robert Bradford, and in this cover feature showing Hall of Famer Vi Milstead Warren flying a Fairchild Husky on floats. Well established as an aviation magazine, the journal continued to carry cover art based on stories told from first-hand experience. Bill Wheeler produced 4 issues of the magazine per year and spent time with fellow enthusiasts to hear and gather their stories. In 1984, CAHS published a special issue about Canada's warplane heritage, featuring a cover painting of the Mynarski Lancaster by Robert Currie. Important events continue to appear in the magazine, such as this article about the search for the Corsair, in which Hall of Famer Robert Hampton Gray, VC, lost his life in the Second World War, and the 60th anniversary story of the RCAF by publisher and member of the Hall of Fame, Larry Milbury. The story of Hollinger on Gava Transport was told by Wes McIntosh, who served as chief pilot for the airline. Color covers had become the standard by the late 1980s as the CAHS now marked 25 years of publishing success. The journal continued its tradition of recording stories from all facets of our heritage, from civil and military aviation, from Air Force and bush flying. No aspect was ignored. In the 1990s, color had become the standard in cover illustrations as the magazine reached its 30th year. And Bill Wheeler was portrayed as an aviator himself in a painting by Tom Bjarnason in a 60th birthday present for the editor. Bill continued to be active in the Canadian Aviation Historical Society, attending conferences of the CAHS, and always open to stories which he would elicit for the magazine to share with its readers. In 2000, he published Skippers of the Sky, a collection of stories about bush flying, which had appeared first in the journal. And in 2001, Bill's contribution to the Canadian Aviation Historical Society was instrumental in the Society being honored with the Belt of Orion Award for Excellence from Canada's Aviation Hall of Fame. Bill left his editor's chair in 2008 after serving as editor for 45 years, and in 2009 edited a special publication of Flypast for the Toronto chapter of the Canadian Aviation Historical Society to celebrate Canada's centennial of flight. Bill and his wife Pat met while attending the Ontario College of Art, and in 2011 they will mark 55 years of marriage. William J. Wheeler was inducted as a member of Canada's Aviation Hall of Fame at ceremonies held at the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum on May 26, 2011.